this is my naive view of the world. There are cooks, and there are bakers, and never the twain shall really meet. But you're either, if you're, because it's almost like a different skill set.
It is. And it is a science. You can't just, you know, you have to weigh everything. And everything happens for a reason. You know, you take baking powder or bicarbonate or some of soda, it's a chemical. You know, and it has chemical reactions, the same as fresh yeast. You can't, you know, it needs to be, you need to be trained to understand what it is that you're working with, and you need to fully understand it to work with it well.
It's got a great range of stuff. Everything from, well, literally your mother's shortbread recipe.
That's right, yeah.
All the way up to fancy schmancy desserts.
Yeah.
But by the time I got to the really fancy stuff, I felt like, well, I think if I'd worked my way through this, that very complex thing that takes, you know, 3 days of stages and preparation, and that's not that bad.
Well, I'm glad that you felt that. That's very reassuring for myself, because, you know, I wanted to make sure the book had something for everybody. And there are recipes, like you say, my mother's shortbread, that's, you know, 4 ingredients, and there's no like, oh, it's too soft. You know, it comes together, it works together in one go. You don't have to refrigerate it. You roll it straight away, you cut it, you bake it. It's easy to handle. It doesn't crumble, it doesn't fall apart. It's not soft and gooey. There's no, you know, there's nothing there that's going to tax anybody, and it's easy to work with. And then there's the lemon posset, which is 3 ingredients, which is actually my favourite recipe in the book. It's just the most wonderful dessert. It's 3 ingredients, and all you do is you boil the sugar and the cream, or the sugar and the lemon. Even that doesn't matter where you put the sugar, so long as you boil it and you mix them together and you pour it into a glass and it sets. Everyone goes, well, how does it set? There's no gelatin, there's no eggs. How can it be this wonderful creamy? You're like, because it's an acid, and the acid's setting the cream. You know, it curdles it, but it doesn't curdle it to the extent that it turns it. And that really is, you know, and it's 3 ingredients.
And it looks so classy.
I
looked at it and went, whoa.
So
I mean, as I was going through it, I went, oh, wow, I could never do that, because that's this beautiful bowl. And it's like, oh. And it was like, no, this is dead simple. And I went, nah. And it's like, it almost say, no, really, it is this simple.
It's like, believe it, and start with those recipes. Like you're saying, start with those recipes. You know, get some confidence if you're not a baker. Because I think, you know, as you were saying earlier, people are like, oh, you know, they keep these amazing meals. And they're real foodies, you know, they go out and they source these ingredients and they love cooking. And they say, oh, but we don't bake. And you're like, oh, you don't bake? What do you mean you cook all this wonderful stuff? You love eating out, you go find these amazing ingredients and you don't bake? Oh, yes, but it's the science. And we're like, well, yes, it is science. But just start, you know, with a few things, get some confidence, and then build it up. And as you go through it, I'm sure you'll be able to achieve it. I want to make it successful, and I hope I have achieved that. And I'm pleased to hear you say that you feel that you could start and work your way through. And I think they are, you know, and I always say, like, you know, I've been cooking for 25 years, you know, and I think the photographer has done an amazing job of making the things in the book look magnificent. I mean, stunning.
You'll be drooling by the time you get halfway through the book.
And I'm like, you know, even if yours doesn't look like that, I've been doing it for 25 years, you know, I'm going to have that edge. You know, I'm not expecting the home bakers to look like mine. If it does, I did a good job of writing a book, you know, but if it doesn't, so what? You know, the more you make it, the more you refine it, it's still going to taste good. It's still going to taste as it should taste. You know, just because, you know, your chocolate was a little bit offline and it wasn't quite, you know, exact when you dunked your biscuit in, and mine's, you know, from corner to corner, but yours is corner to the middle. Does it really matter? No, it's not. It's still, you still made it. It's still great. It's still better than something you brought in the shop.
Can you give me your mother's shortbread recipe off the top of your head?
Yeah, I can. I can give it you in ounces, because that's what it is in my mother's book. It's 9 ounces of flour, 6 ounces of butter, and 3 ounces of sugar, and some vanilla. Now, I use a vanilla bean, but my mother, when I was growing up, obviously, that was a bit luxurious for our family, so we actually use vanilla extract, and it'd be about half a cupful of vanilla extract. And the method is you just work the butter, you just work all the ingredients together. Make sure the butter's at room temperature, that's the most important thing, so you're not, you know, overworking. And it will take less time to form a ball. Just put all the ingredients together in a bowl, bring them to a dough, roll it out on a lightly floured surface, cut it. I always cut mine in squares and rectangles, because that's what my mother used to do too, but there's no wastage. So if you cut circles out, you've got all the trimmings, and once the trimmings are re-rolled, they're never quite the same as the virgin dough. So that's a good thing to remember. So cut them into rectangles, bake them at 180 for about 20 minutes, turning the tray halfway through.
Yeah, I thought that was a brilliant little tip. I'd never heard that one before.
Because all ovens bake unevenly, even professional ovens bake unevenly.
It's a delightfully accessible book. I think you've spent a lot of time trying to make it. I mean, anytime you see something that's simple, I know that a lot of work has gone into making it simple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I do want it to be, that's the whole thing, I want it to be accessible. I want people to break it down, and I want people to understand. And I want them to say that, no, it is accessible, it's there, it says what to do. You don't need to be afraid. And they're good, you know, the things, hopefully there's things in there that appeal, like you say, the cookies, the brownies, the creme caramel. You know, there's things that people relate to and they're their favourites and they want to try. You know, they might say, well, I'm a bit scared to make strudel, or I don't know, that always seems a bit, you know, but it's there, it's not difficult, you can do it.
The book is Indulge, 100 Perfect Desserts. I've been speaking with the author Claire Clark, and Indulge is published by Whitecap.